Welcome to the Plagues Project.
10 Plagues, Many Angles.
Now more than ever.
Come learn with us.
I see the Bible not just as religious book for me personally. I see it as historic book that can guide humanity. And also what you can learn also from the story of the past. The Bible is not just recorded what God and human connection, it also talks about the glory and the weakness and the failure of humankind. I, especially on this kind of things about the 10 plagues and other things, is for me, and the failure of politicians toward other people under their command or under their administration. That's how I see it. And also the warning of God toward those politicians who betray their power or use their power to oppress others. That's how I see it. Sometimes people think it's a punishment to Pharaoh or to Egyptians. I don't see the connection between punishment and the warning. Because most of the time I don't see God as a punisher. I see God as just and as a being, higher being that protects the weaker. So most of the time, I don't see it as a punishment to Egyptians. I see it as a warning to those who are using their power to oppress others. So what I learned, what came to my mind when I see this 10 plagues, especially the Exodus from chapter 7, is how God interfere to save his people. It's not because they were Hebrew. It is because they are his sons and daughters. Not because they are a specific group of people. It is because they deserve justice. They deserve father. They deserve guidance. They deserve leader. They deserve better. So that's why God warned the Egyptians to let them go, to let them free, to let them be who they want to be, not just to put them under oppression and slavery and put them under iron fist, but to see them as human beings and to let them go. Most of the time, we human beings learn from our experience. When we read or when we see things, we put ourselves on the situation and we compare ourselves and with other stories and with other things that happen at the same time. So I put myself on that story, and I don't see myself as a pharaoh.
I don't see you as a pharaoh either.
Oh, thank you. But I see myself as someone who lost his home, someone who was outside of his home, someone who was a stranger in a strange land, someone who was oppressed under dictatorships, someone treated with unjust because of my skin color, because of my situation, because of who I am and what I believe. So I personally compare myself with the Hebrew people at the time of Moses or the pharaohs. So, and I see also how God show us his guidance and his love. And I see how God really cares about his people, how God really cares about who were treated with injustice, treated unequally, treated unfairly. And also I see God as a father and as a friend. So I ask as a guidance when I lost, when I need help, I always call his name and pray for him. So in this type of story also, we saw God as a father, as a friend, as a guide, and as a leader, and as the father of the weak, and as a father of justice, as a father of righteousness. So that's how I see the story personally.
I really like that reading and so much what you said, especially what you're saying, how about, God didn't save the people of Israel because they were chosen people or a special people. God saved them because they were human beings, his creatures who were being oppressed, who are crying out. And that's a theme that we see throughout the Bible, right? That God hears the cries of the weak, that cries of the oppressed, the cries of the widow, of the orphan, of the stranger. And because of this particular place, you had, one of the strongest kingdoms in the world, which is Egyptian, right, civilization oppressing these Israelites, and God heard them. So I really connect to that idea, and this idea that God is almost like the antithesis to Pharaoh and the Egyptian gods, which are all about power and absolute power and using your power. And Pharaoh, who's the leader, is like a god, right? And God is trying to create a reverse system and say, no, it doesn't matter who you are, right? It's not about strengthening the powerful. It's about humbling the powerful and lifting up the disempowered. And that's so much what the Passover story is about, flipping things on their power on its head.
Yeah, it's a good way to see it that way, especially like, as you know, I've been a lot Bible stories in many times, especially on things like that. As I said before, like the Bible is not just what happens in action, about what we learn from it and what we do also for other people around us. And especially right now, a lot of people are oppressed because who they are. And a lot of politicians in the world use their power as a god and oppress others. And that's how I take it as a lesson. So I'm not expecting God to come and to save us he did in the time of Pharaoh, because always God is with us, in the past, even now. But before there was no guidance as we have now. But now we have a lot of guidance from the Bible and from our life and a lot of things. But also as the failure of politicians to see the weak or to advocate on behalf of those who need to be advocated for, to advocate for behalf of the widows, to advocate for children, to advocate for elderly people, to advocate for slavery or immigrants. It is a lesson that we have to take and to learn from it and to follow the good path and to learn from our failures, because we have already guidance. And we saw what happened to Pharaoh and the people who follow Pharaoh's guidance. And yeah, so even though we can't see it now that happened to us in flesh, like as we saw in Pharaoh, like those locusts and other stuff, that we are seeing it daily. We are seeing it daily, even if we have good eyes. So it's better to learn the lesson from the past and also to live the good guidance for the generation to come.
It's so interesting. Reading the story again, I noticed even before the 10 plagues start, God is like, I'm not just doing this for Pharaoh, right? I'm not just doing this for you right now. I'm doing this for future generations so that they know me, that they know God, right? And especially given what you're saying now, it's like, I'm trying to send a message here about what's right and justice, right? And I'm sending a future message for now about what a good civilization looks like. And it's not just about who's more powerful and who has more. It's about how you treat the weakest. And that's the message that God is trying to send, not just for Pharaoh, but for the Israelites and their descendants and their spiritual descendants and the descendants of their descendants, so they can teach their children. This is not what true strength looks like. Absolute power and abuse of power. True strength is responsibility for those who are weak and care and compassion. I'm curious if you want to say a little bit more about your own experience and how you relate to this from your own personal experience.
I left my home country, Eritrea, because of dictatorship. I was a victim of dictatorship, and I was a stranger in a lot of countries. I was an asylum seeker in Sudan, Egypt, and Israel. Most of my time I spent in Israel for 10 years. I have been in Egypt. I know the treatments. I have been in Sudan, because to be a Christian in a Muslim country is not a good experience, as you may imagine. So it's me personally, as a young person who wanders in a country that my family never been. I can't say I had the same experience as the Israelites in the time of Pharaoh, but I can understand their pain. When you cry, nobody wants to hear cry. When you call for help, nobody wants to hear help. I'm talking about politicians. I'm not talking about daily like people, because they are like me and they always support me wherever I want. Uh, so that's why you are talking, because I was there in the place of the oppressed one. I was literally treated, not just me, people like me were treated unfairly in Israel because who we are. We came for safety, we came for help. We never came to do something wrong or to gain more money or to gain more other stuff. Just we came for safety and for help, but we rejected. So this kind of story always remind me not to be like these people, but to be like the Israelites who call for help. At the end, they got the help they deserve. So because, as I told you, I see myself as them, because I was in their place, honest. I asked for help. I cried, not just for myself, also for my people, because as you know, all of us asylum seekers in Israel still there crying for help. So, as you said, these stories, even though it happened to Israelites, but also as a Christian, as a young person, I learned it a lot. I learned from it a lot. And I always want to live as a story, not as a person one, but also as a person who learned from it. But somebody try to do the good things for those who need help, for those who are oppressed, for those who don't have a chance to voice their pain.
You know, I just have to say, as you're saying that, I'm reminded, I think it was Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who was a rabbi who marched with Martin Luther King. And I believe he said that we are all either pharaohs or slaves of pharaohs. And I think some people, given their life circumstances, don't necessarily have a choice, right? They're in a position of being slaves of Pharaoh. But I think for those of us with power and privilege of any kind amount, we have a choice. Are we going to be a slave of Pharaoh, or are we going to be a Pharaoh? And are we going to let our fears control us and use those fears to oppress the weak, or are we going to fight injustice wherever we see it? I think this story and so many other human stories are kind of a wake-up call to be aware and choose to fight injustice. And, you know, I just have to say, reading this story again, I'm also wondering, like, where were the Egyptian people in all of this, especially as the plagues were going on? Didn't Pharaoh care about his people? Didn't his people, like, see the devastation that was being caused? But he didn't care about his people. He didn't care about the Israelites. He just cared about his own glory, his own ego, his own power.
That is what happening, especially most of the time, even right now. A lot of politicians open war among countries, among people. They are not the people who are pay the price. The people who are fighting the war are paying the price. The young people who carry a gun or whatever they give them to fight for. It is the same as also as we know in the Pharaoh, because he's the God, as he said, and he had bigger ego. He thinks like he is the most almighty and powerful one. He can do whatever he wants. But in reality, he just as normal person as everybody. He lost his firstborn son. He cried. He was not a god. And every politician or every strong person, he thinks he isn't just a person. Maybe he was in his mother's womb for 9 months, not more than that. So we should learn. We should learn from the past, and we should leave a great legacy for the generation to come. If we always think we are the best one or we are the chosen one, we forget who are those need our help, those who really look onto us, especially because I was in Israel, so I saw that in firsthand. Because you are Black, you are asylum seeker, so you are nothing. But reality, like, I don't know, everybody deserves help, everybody deserves safety, everybody deserves to be listened, to be heard. So it's up to us, to those who really, it doesn't matter, I'm a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or non-believer, if who really takes the story for a good context, like, and follow it, for not just for the other people. When I do a good thing, it's for me. I don't think when I help somebody, I'm not helping them. I'm helping myself. Like when I was young, like 10 or 15 years ago, when I was doing something good, I think like I'm doing for them, like out of favor or because I'm better than them, But in reality, no, I was doing good for myself. I was helping myself. When you help others, you help yourself. When you lift your community, you lift yourself. When you make your community stronger, you make yourself stronger. At the same time, for politicians, as you said, politicians are not those who have strong fists, but politicians those who protect the weaker, and they also take full responsibility to their people. Those are the strong politicians, the strong leaders, come to the ground and see the pain of the people, as we saw a lot in the Bible history many times. The leaders or the kings come to the ground and help their people and lift their spirit and guide them to the right path. We still remember them, we still follow their stories, and also from that story that we have to take the good part of the story. Not as a pharaoh. I don't want to be also anyone to be as the Israelites, because it's pain to be a slave, to be under oppression. It's not a good experience because I used to live there. But to live everybody in equal way, in the manner that they believe, in the manner that they want to live. And to do that, we have to understand each other. It doesn't matter what you believe, but everybody have a choice. Everybody have something to take in life, Doesn't matter what you believe. At the end of the day, we are all human beings. We cry, we laugh, and we hope. Doesn't matter who you are.